today I want to tell you about how to build up the confidence, the camera confidence that you need to become a high-ticket closer in the US market, okay? Camera presence is one of the skills that separates six-figure closers from everyone else. It's got nothing to do with the script or your objection handling techniques. It's the key factor that basically determines if a prospect trusts you within the first 10 seconds. This is really important because the way you come across on the camera on those first 10 seconds on a call is gonna really determine how basically the kind of feelings that the person is gonna have for the first stage of that call. By the end of this guide, you'll be able to understand why confidence on camera and camera presence is a secret weapon, and you will learn the exact mirror drill systems to transform yourself from an awkward presenter into a magnetic professional, which is exactly what you should be doing if you actually want to make real money as a high-ticket closer in the US market, okay? So basically, let's talk about the hidden cost of camera awkwardness. So, how much money is it costing you really? Not being able to perform in a confident way on camera. So this is actually way more important than your script or even your accent, believe it or not. So basically, your camera presence affects sales outcomes more than language skills themselves, which is funny because I talk to a lot of closers on a daily basis, and basically 80% of them are more concerned about their language skills rather than their confidence and their image on camera, which is one of the first things that the prospect is going to be looking at on first impressions. So the thing is, prospects make split-second judgments based on what they see on those first few minutes, right? So not what they hear, but what they see, and this is really important. So poor presence can kill a deal before you even speak. This really affects also specifically, and this is really what matters, how prospects make their buying decisions. Research shows that prospects often decide whether to trust you within the first 10 seconds based purely on visual cues like your facial expressions, your body language, or in general, your overall presence, okay? So that's why you need to really take care of your presence before you even start speaking on a call. The brain processes hundreds of microsignals instantly. A hesitation in posture signals uncertainty. Avoiding eye contact suggests you are hiding something. Also, and fidgeting creates an impression of nervousness. These subconscious cues drive buying decisions. So you need to really be careful with the way you start fidgeting around. Fidgeting is when you start moving your hands and your fingers like you're nervous. You don't want to come across that way. You want to come across as someone who really knows what they're talking about and as someone that's really interested in helping the other person on the other end of the call. Now, common mistakes that really kill deals in this case. Poor posture, so distracting gestures, bad lighting, and also looking at the screen instead of at the camera. So these are common mistakes that make you appear unprofessional, make you appear as someone with low energy and untrustworthy. This is what you want to be avoiding, okay, right from the get-go. Now, the thing is, this also leads to a negative feedback loop of lost confidence. Now, what do I mean by this? What I'm saying is that poor camera presence gets a lukewarm response from prospects, which in turn makes you feel less confident, and also it turns into this vicious cycle that destroys confidence over time. The good news is that this is completely fixable. The mirror shows, when you look at yourself in the mirror, this is what you want to be doing. The mirror shows you exactly what the prospects see, revealing unconscious habits that sabotage your calls. Now, these habits are magnified on camera and can destroy your credibility without you even realizing it. That's why I always recommend that you go back to your own role plays and your own sales calls and review them step by step to make sure that you pinpoint all those little weaknesses in your presence, your movements, your body language, your gestures, to make sure that you have those nailed down and you can actually quickly correct them once you see them happening in real time, on a sales call. There's a gap between the perception and the reality. So there's like a huge, massive disconnection between how we think we appear on camera and how we actually look on camera. Okay, so you might feel confident, but your body language could be actually sending the opposite message. Common exercise that I recommend that you guys do is to actually perform a sales call with some closer body or even a real sales call. But then you need to instantly write down how you were feeling throughout this call or throughout this role play session. And then you need to rewatch the whole thing and then try to see if the feelings that you described right after the call or right after the session actually matches the impression that you are receiving when you are actually watching yourself after the call or after this session. Okay, so if you see there's a mismatch, that's actually what the prospect is going to see. So this is what you want to be really paying special attention to. This all comes down to practice, coming up with a feedback loop. Practicing in front of a mirror creates a feedback loop that actually connects how movement feels with how it looks. And it makes you conscious of your habits, which is the first step toward controlling those bad weaknesses that you have going on, So the trick here is recording yourself. Recording yourself is a powerful tool to discover those blind spots that you never knew existed. And watching those recordings reveals details about your body language, your vocal tone, and your delivery that you might have missed in real time, okay? So trying to act confident often backfires and also might make you look less trustworthy. True confidence comes from an authentic alignment between your story, your voice, and your delivery. Authentic confidence is really marked by subtle cues, a natural language, a natural body language, relaxed posture, open hand gestures, and genuine facial expressions that match your words. So if those things are not apparent in your performance once you start watching yourself, after a sales call or after a role play session, then you really know what you need to be focusing on next time. Let's talk about micro expressions, because these things are an involuntary facial expression that might reveal true emotions. So, basically when you're truly confident, these micro expressions align with your words. So, and when you're faking it, then there's some kind of a mismatch that the prospects might sense subconsciously. So that's another thing that you need to be really paying attention to when you start rewatching yourself on camera, on videos, okay? Basically, authentic confidence comes from competence and a genuine belief in the value that you have to offer on a sales call. So when you know that you can actually solve your prospect's problems, and that confidence shows up naturally on camera. So this comes down to a few things. First of all, you need to really know the product that you're selling. Otherwise, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage when you're facing a prospect. And then second, you really need to know your prospect as much as possible, or you need to be able to build up a deep connection from the very beginning as fast as possible so that you can relate and build up that trust so that the person can see you with different eyes, right? Structure plays a huge part on this whole process. Most people practice incorrectly by simply repeating their pitch in the mirror without any kind of structure, systematic method. Now, you are more likely to reinforce bad habits than build new ones if you don't follow like a really systematic methodology that you need to actually have in place to actually make your performance as repeatable as possible. Because you can actually lose a lot of momentum. And basically you can perform really well on a specific set of sales goals, but then maybe when you come across a different prospect profile, then your performance drops. So if you actually follow a specific structure, a specific systematic approach, you can actually overcome this problem, okay? You want to actually stand 3 feet from the mirror and practice holding different emotions states enthusiasm, concern, confidence, for 10 seconds for each emotion, while maintaining steady eye contact with your reflection. Now that actually will help you see how the prospect sees you when you are performing those little micro expressions on a sales call. So this is a good method to actually see yourself from the prospect's eyes even before you get on the next call. Okay, so the phase 2 is posture and positioning. So you want to practice sitting in your chair as you would during a sales call. You need to focus on maintaining a straight and relaxed back and level shoulders and keeping your hands in a natural resting position, okay? Now, the phase 3 is like a full presentation practice. You want to combine expressions and posture by practicing your entire sales conversation in the mirror. This gives you instant feedback on how well your words and your body language are aligned, so that you can actually really have like a deep understanding of how the whole process is improving. Now, the optimal practice schedule, this is the ideal routine, which is, I would recommend something like 15 minutes daily or maybe 30 minutes, 3 times per week, and this will provide you with consistent repetition to build the muscle memory without causing burnout. So, you want to practice, not so much that it takes away time from your actual performance on your sales goals, but not so little that you actually start relaxing and forgetting about doing this practice that will eventually get you the feedback loop that you need to actually see the progress that you are looking for, okay? Now, there's like a killer combo that you can use, which is combining mirror drills with recordings. So you want to use the mirror for real-time feedback during practice, but then also use your self-recordings for objective feedback afterward. So together they create like a complete picture of your progress, because basically when you're in the mirror, you're like in real time receiving feedback about the way you look and the way you sound and the way you come across, right? The kinds of feelings that you actually portray. And then the recording will actually give you like a more paused and self-paced understanding of the progress that you're going through. So you want to try to kind of combine these two methods, right? Now, you actually need to actually work on reading the signs of real improvement. So basically, this improvement comes from in small, subtle shifts, not dramatic overnight changes. So you need to actually remember this, because you need to know what specific signs to look for in your posture, your eye contact, and your gesture. So this might be very little things, but if you keep watching yourself for every week after week after week for months, then by the end of like 3 to 6 months, you're gonna see a huge progress. Let's talk about the early signs of improvement that you need to be looking out for. So these early signs include relaxed shoulders, less fidgeting with your hands and your fingers, deeper breathing, more steadier eye contact, with the camera and the prospect's eyes, and then a more natural, responsive facial expression. So if you see those little things getting better and better, that means that you're improving and you're going in the right direction. How do you actually systematically analyze your recording? So you need to actually watch each recording 3 times at least, right? With the sound off to evaluate body language. And then a second time with the eyes closed to assess your vocal delivery, the way you sound, your pronunciation, the kind of expressions that you use, and all that stuff, right? And then a third time, just normally, while you're taking notes. Because each of these stages will actually watch out and will account for different things that you need to be improving on. So that's why this is like a systematic thing that you need to apply to your daily basis, okay? Now, also, what you need to have these KPIs, right? So key performance indicators, like in business. So you actually need to look for sort of similar KPIs. In this case, we can just call them progression markers. Basically, what this is a key marker of progress is when you begin speaking from a place of authentic alignment rather than trying to impress your audience. So, and your focus from sounding perfect to being helpful. That's when you see that you're really improving. Mastering camera confidence directly impacts your closing rates, right? As American prospects in particular make trust decisions quickly based on professional presentation and visual cues. That's why the way you come across is really important. The first 30 seconds on a call are when prospects decide if they want to work with you. So your opening energy and the posture and the eye contact that you create on those first few seconds create an impression that either builds trust or creates doubt. So that's why you actually need to work on this to make sure that you nail this part. When you project visual authority, Prospects naturally defer to your expertise. They see you as an expert, right? And they ask fewer challenging questions and are more likely to follow your recommendations, making the close much easier. That's why this process is really important to always keep in your head. Strong camera presence creates visual authority that can override verbal hesitations, and also prospects focus on your message and your competence instead of getting distracted by your accent or your language differences, which is something that I see in a lot of closers that are extremely concerned about the way that their accent sounds, but they're not so much concerned about the kind of authority level that they project on their sales calls. And that's really gonna make more of an impact on the long term. So the gap between struggling and projecting professional confidence is not years of training. It is really 1 month of focused, consistent effort using the mirror drill system, okay? The thing is, most people know what to do but fail to take action. Every day is another day of missed opportunities and lost revenue. Success depends on starting today, not tomorrow, okay? So you need to remember this. Now, the thing is, mastering visual communication improves your professional interactions and you become more persuasive in meetings, a better leader, and someone who is eager to work with you and refer you to others. That's why all of these steps are really important, okay? And the thing is, momentum is critical on this stage. So the closers who achieve the biggest transformations are those who begin immediately. This system works, but only if you commit to using it. Now, the bottom line is that camera confidence amplifies every other sales skills that you have. Your product knowledge and your closing techniques are far more powerful when delivered with an authentic, trustworthy presence.